and I think we're live. So if you're watching a recording of this, do fast forward 2 minutes. I'm going to get started pretty soon here. All right. Oh, let's see. So I was just cleaning off my desk, and I think I cleaned it too well. I put everything away. Oops. And why is the camera crooked all of a sudden? So weird. So weird. All right. Okay, so it looks like Facebook's up. You know, I no longer have a chat system. I don't know why, but I cannot see any chats, just to let you know. So if you do have any questions, shout out, put it in the chat, and Andy will relay it to me. So, as always, I appreciate your comments and your likes and your shares. We're going to get started here in just one more minute. What else do I have? I need a pen today. Oh, I know what I was doing. Whoops. Okay. Hi, everyone. Today is Wednesday, December 22nd. I know, 3 days till Christmas. We're coming to the end of the year really quickly here. Goodness, who knew, huh? Who knew we would make it here? So today is UFO Wednesday, where I am finishing up someone else's UFO, an unfinished object. So for the last couple of months, I've been asking everyone to send in their UFOs and giving me the challenge of what to do with it. So this one comes from an old friend, Sally, that I haven't seen in a while, but in any case, so I was sent, let's see, I was sent a stone. This is actually copper rutilated quartz. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a really, really, really cool stone. Hard to see in this camera, but we'll zoom in a little bit more. See if you can actually see it. So you can see the little copper rutilations in there, as opposed to gold or black rutilated. You know, the rutilation comes in so many different things. You can have even termalinated quartz and whatnot. So you can have like green lines, black lines, all different kinds of colors. So I love this stone because the copper is a bit unusual. Anyway, so I got this stone and what looks like it will be a pendant or should be a pendant, and some miscellaneous metal, some which I found in my own scrap. And I don't know, what can we do with this? But, you know, let's address some issues that we're looking at here at this piece so far. So far, this piece, if you look really closely inside, you'll see, you will see that there is solder in there. And it hasn't really quite run all the way around. So we're going to have to address that and make sure that the solder does run all the way around to ensure that when I go to set this, that the bezel doesn't fall out. The other thing I noticed too when I put the stone in is that it's really, I'm not going to push it all the way in because I won't be able to get it out, but clearly the bezel height is too high for it. So a couple ways to address that. You can either lower the bezel height or raise the stone. I haven't decided what I want to do with it yet, but and then what's next is, you know, I was looking at this project and thinking, you know, it could be really simple, put some embellishments on it, maybe put some bead wire around it, put a bail on it and call it done. But then I decided, you know what, why don't we have a different approach? It seems, and I wanted to also take some time out today and talk about design just a little bit more. And something that I have been noticing a lot when people design things is that they over design. And, you know, it's easy to put a whole bunch of embellishments on there and make it look interesting, but making it a little bit more simple, modern is always a little bit harder. So at first I thought, oh, you know, it'd just be nice to put like a couple of grains on this side and just give it a little pop and make it simple. But then, hey, why do that? So then I thought about this wire here. This is flat wire. It's I think 3 by 1 millimeter, something like that. And I was thinking, oh, maybe we should make a different design. So, but using the bezel, of course, you don't want that to go to waste. Okay, so let's grab that pen I had here. And I thought, what if we did this? Okay, I'm going to trace this and trace this around here, and extend this up and make sort of like this shape. right? And then we'll put a bail on top, of course, and that's how we'll get our chain in there. But then we'll go ahead and set it here, but leave a void in here. So give it some white space. Again, not everything has to be filled in, and sometimes that void and that open space gives it a lot of dimension without having to add texture or any other embellishment. That becomes part of your texture and embellishment. So when you're wearing it on your clothes or even just plain on your body, you have that extra bit showing through. So that's my design for today. Okay, so that's the approach. But first things first, let's go ahead and see if we can get this solder to run all the way around. Let's see what else here. This needs to be addressed a little bit. And then we'll get the solder to flow all the way around. We'll add some flux in there. And then we'll take down the bezel just a little bit because it's a bit too high. I don't think I'm going to raise it. It just doesn't seem right for the stone. Although for the last few years, a high bezel has been very much in fashion. So that's the scoop there. A little bit too much light today. Let's see if I can reduce that a little bit. Okay. And some flux. I'm hoping that there's enough solder in here that it will just flow. Okay. Heat it up like so. So by the way, if you have a UFO that you would like me to work on, do send it forward. Send me a note, send me a picture, and we'll see if I can do something with it. Right? So I'm going to heat it, get that flux flowing first, and then we're going to heat it from the bottom because we want to get that bottom really nice. And okay, there it's flowing. Really nice and hot, and making sure that all of this stuff flows here. Okay, there it is. It did flow. Okay. Again, addressing just to make sure it didn't seem like there was much solder running around up here. So I just wanted to make sure that all that had actually flowed and went to where it needed to go to. And it did, so it makes me happy. By the way, I am simulcasting today on Facebook, my personal Facebook page, the Qtalk Facebook page, and Twitch and YouTube. If you're on Twitch, don't forget to renew the subscription. You have to do that monthly, and that's how I get paid on Twitch. And if you're not on Twitch, it's free for your Amazon Prime users. And what else can I tell you about that? So you can just subscribe on there and I get paid, and it doesn't cost you anything. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick measurement here. Let's see. How much of this do I want to go to? So maybe like that. I'm just going to give it a little bend. We'll start with that. Oh, I just feel like that's not enough. Hold on. It's not enough. I want this to be a little bit higher. Okay, we'll bend it there. Like so. And I just sort of want to make this corner. And I'm using my stone as the form. Oh, that's bent nicely. Okay, nice, nice, nice. Just gonna come right in. And we're gonna keep it simple today. Really simple. And the question is, how high do I want this? I think I do like that. So we'll go ahead and bend this one. And this is pretty much working, freeform without much of a design concept and trying to be fluid about the design. Now that I said that word, I feel like I've been fluid quite a bit for the last few lives. But you know, it's just sort of the fun of jewelry making, right? Not everything has to be so structured. You just need to be structured about your technique. It's your design, maybe, maybe not. I'm going to take some of that off, and we're going to bend this over. Oops. I want a sharper bend. I want a really distinct bend. I'm choosing not to solder at the top because I don't want to, I want a sharper bend, but I still want a little bit of a softness to it, that I don't want just the wires to come together. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit more of a bend there. And we're going to take this down just a little bit. And then we're going to, so I just cut this off and I'm going to try to match that cut on the side too. And we're going to solder that together, I think. I'm not going to cut it yet. I'm going to grab my bezel out and make sure it fits around the bezel first. Because what if it's short, right? What if it's short? Oh, by the way, so something happened this morning when I sat down at my bench today. I had left my tools out from the other day, and I haven't been down here since Monday. And I noticed that all of my hand tools that I had out, let's see, like this one, you see that? Were all rusted. Huh, that's never happened before, and it occurred to me why. I was doing some patina on the bench, and apparently there must have been residue left on the bench, and from there, it sort of leached onto my tools, so be careful. So I went through and neutralized the bench this morning, and I neutralized the bench with a bunch of soapy water, so hopefully that will not happen again. Okay, perfect. Look, it fits. Yay! I'm not going to trim off the back plate quite yet. Haven't decided what I want to do with that, but I do want to go ahead and finish this part up. So we'll go ahead and trim that off. Let's see. Try to match that. Set that aside. Do a little bit of filing here. Okay, just to take off the burr on each side. Just a little bit. Like so. So I learned my lesson. I won't be leaving tools on my bench anymore. I will be more diligent about putting it away after I'm done working, I suppose. Or either that or need to start patinaing on another surface. That's probably the better way to go. Probably should put something down before you put patina down. You know, if you have an old cookie sheet, I would keep it on the bench. And there's a tip for you. I would keep it on the bench and work on that when you're doing something like what I just mentioned with the patina. And then you can just put it away and wipe it off. Okay, so does that work? I think that works. Okay, so we just go ahead and solder this end together. I'm just going to keep manipulating this until it's perfect. I want it to stay together by itself. You know, I know a lot of people like to bind their pieces together. I do not. It's not really a great technique to try to bind things to get it to be together, because you know what? If you work this properly, it will stay together. You just have to work with it. Be patient. It'll come. And if your wire is particularly springy, anneal it. Like I probably have to here in a second. Ooh, pull it too far. So notice how I'm pulling it beyond itself so that there's tension to create some tension, right? And I'm trying to get it so that it's nice and even. Come on. There we go. So close. There we are. Even. But it's not even on the sides. You can see that? Okay. So close, so fidgety. But you know what? I'm going to show you another trick. I'm going to do this on a soldering board and see if I can just push it down. Hold on a second. Where's my solder board? There it is. Let's see if we were to do it this way. Put away some tools here. Okay, let me see. Can I realistically push it down when I'm soldering it? Man, not really. It's too big of a piece, so we're just going to work with it a little bit longer. So it's hump day. We're almost done with the week, but we have a holiday weekend, which is exciting. Have a couple days off, enjoy it with your family. I hope you guys have some good plans. Okay. Wow, that's solder. Put a little bit of solder on the inside there. Still fussing. There we go. Heat the whole entire thing. Joint. Great. It's together really nice. Throw that right into the pickle. Quench and pickle. Okay, then comes the debate. What are we doing here? Oh yes, we need to trim this. So I'm just going to take out my shears and I'm going to trim it. But notice, let's go out. Notice how I'm going to do this. This is a really scary thing for most people, is trimming a bezel, because they're always afraid that they're going to take too much. So here's the trick. Most people, when they trim, you see where my knuckles are? It's up, right? Let's go out a little bit further. Okay, so my knuckles are up and people will start trimming like this. But the chances are you're going to gouge it. So what you want to do is you want to have the knuckles down when you do this, and you want to trim up. Another trick too is you want to go ahead and measure the height of your stone, and then put your measurement onto your bezel and create a line for yourself using your divider. Just score it, and then you'll know exactly where you need to go. And that way it'll always be even. I'm not going to score it. Sorry, not sorry. I'm going to eyeball it because I just need a little tiny bit off. Just like so. So it's funny when I work with beginners and we're doing this bezel thing, and we get this nice cute little curl of metal coming off of here. Everybody always wants to do something with it. You know what? One day, one of you guys will come up with something great, because I was there too when I was just beginning, but should really just go in the scrap pile. There we go. See? Nice and even. Let's sand this. Well, I'm glad I didn't trim the back plate, because this gave me a lot of stuff to work with. Okay. It was just really rough sandpaper because I wanted to do that really quickly. So then I'm going to switch over. It was 100 sandpaper. I'm going to switch over to a 400 here. I'm going to make that just really nice. Yeah, just like that. Perfect. Okay. Another thing I'm going to do too is with your bezel, when you are bezel setting, you want to, especially after all this work that we just did, you want to go ahead and take a file. See if I can find one. A curved file, please. Yep, a round file. And you want to go ahead and deburr the inside of your bezel, just like that. Okay? Take out that inside. Just at a slight angle. You can feel it. Put your fingers in there. Make sure that there's nothing sharp. Okay. It's still dirty, but that's okay. I have a lot of soldering left to do. I'll clean that up with a brass brush here in a little bit. Okay, let's see. So this guy looks pretty good. So you can see. You can still see my joint just a little bit, so I'm going to clean that up here. Because I want it to be nice and perfect. Actually, I'm going to switch over to my flex shaft and make quick work of this by using one of my sanding discs. Just like that. And it's done. I'm going to hit both sides too, just to make sure it's really nice. And I'm going to hit the inside because this is going to be open. This area is going to be that void. So I want the joint to be clean on the inside too. Beautiful. Okay. It makes me happy. Okay, what did we decide? Are you going to be like this? Was this our design? Or was this our design? Let's see. I know, keep track, right? I can't remember which way this was supposed to go. I think this way. Okay, so through all the manipulations, I have, really? Maybe it was this way. No, it's this way. Does anybody remember? Whoops! Okay, there it is. There it is. There it is. Okay. It fits. Nice. Okay, so what do we want to do? See, we probably want to trim that off. I might just leave this lip on the inside though. It seems to give it a little bit something something. We do want to trim all of this off. So you know what? I'm going to take out, back to that divider again. I'm going to score it and then trim it. Actually, think about this for half a second. No, I'm not going to score it and trim it. I am going to solder it and then trim it after. And that way it'll be absolutely perfect to the back plate, and then I don't have to worry about it, right? Okay, wait. But I'm going to put my stone in and double check because I feel like I might have scrunched my bezel when I was manipulating the frame here. So here's some dental floss. It's a trick for you so that I don't get my stone stuck inside. It's a little tight. It wasn't tight before. A little tight now. Okay. So what am I seeing here? I am, okay, it'll fit. It fits, so that's good. But what I see here is this little gap, which is sort of bothering me. So I'm going to fix that a little bit by putting it back into the round nose and opening that up to change the shape just a little bit. So let's see, hopefully the radius on the round nose is just enough to open that. And I'm using a round nose and nylon pliers so that I don't mar the outside. I know, I'm just being silly right now. Okay. Oops. And I did that upside down. Blah. Goes this way. Okay. Let's see if we can get that to fit. Again, still a little bit wonky. Still a tiny little gap there. What do I want to do? Teeny weeny little gap. Okay. I'm going to put it into my chain nose and see if I can flatten it out just a little bit. By opening it up. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of a hand manipulation here to get it to where you want it to be. Make small moves instead of large moves, just in case, especially since we're dealing with something that's so just the smallest of gaps. You see, that's just a tiny little gap that I'm being a little bit anal retentive about. Okay, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna put a little extra solder on there. It should fill it up nicely. Okay, let's take the stone out. Like so. We're gonna leave that there. All right, so now, assuming that there was hard solder in there, we're gonna go ahead and go to medium solder. And I'm just gonna put dabs, especially right there on that corner. I'm gonna put a little extra there, hoping that the solder will fill it just a bit, okay? And close up my gap. I'll put dabs all the way around. Not spread it like peanut butter like I did on Monday. Just little dabs. Little dab will do ya. And I'm not gonna put any at the top, of course, because we have a void going on here, right? I don't even know how big that void is, but so I'm just gonna end right on the side here with my solder. Okay. Okay. And I'm checking my sides to make sure that it is nice and flush. And you know, like this side, it's not so flush. I'm gonna put this right in here. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a squeeze. Maybe pierce the back plate was a suggestion, because you're thinking that this is clear and has a transparent look, that it might give it some reflection. Maybe. We're going to see if we need to how we want to deal with that. But in the meantime, let's solder this really quickly. Let me noodle on that while I'm soldering this. And so all I'm going to do here is I'm going to heat from the bottom again, get it really nice and hot, and then come up and heat over the top. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, throw it in the pickle. So, Deb, I see you've been following me on Facebook. I posted this week about how I don't celebrate Christmas because I'm a Buddhist. So, and Deb is asking if we celebrate the Lunar New Year. Absolutely, we do. And I don't even know when it is this year. I think it's in February sometime. You know, it's funny because we squeezed in a big party here. We had like over 30 people here at the house where I did all the cooking from scratch just before COVID. Because if you think about it, the Lunar New Year in 2020 was in February, like mid-February, February 18th, I think it was. And so it's February 1st this year, you said? Oh, so anyway, and so we invite everybody over and all of our closest friends, and we have this dinner and celebrate the New Year. So when that comes up here in February, yes, I think I will do that. I will share our traditions and tell you all about it. And now that I think about it, I'm like, I've done 2 Zooms so far with cooking Zooms. And I came up with another Zoom that I want to do next year. And I was thinking spring, but hey, maybe we should do it in February for the Lunar New Year. It are these wonderful sesame balls that it's a Vietnamese dish. And I know that they do the Chinese also do it, but they do it very differently. But it's a dessert. And they're really, I call them donuts. It's like a donut with sesame on it, and it's also gluten-free. And yes, it's fried. We really don't do fried foods here, but when we did the Lunar New Year here, we had some friends here, and we were just hanging out for the weekend. And I don't know, this recipe sort of came up, and we decided, hey, we should make it. And it was so nice. I've never made it before, even though I grew up with it. And anyway, so maybe we should do that next. Let's see. Yep, I like it. I don't know why this is not pickling. I'm going to throw it back in the pickle for another second here. So yeah, I will definitely do that. Thanks for the suggestion. So Deb is also suggesting that maybe we pierce the part of the back plate that I'm cutting off. So we'll see here. Let's pull it out. I don't know why this is not pickling, but that's okay. It's really weird. My pickle is really nice and hot. Most everything pickled. Except, you see, it's still black. I don't know. So I think what she's saying is pierce this part. I don't know. I'm sort of liking this lip. So I'm gonna trim this outside off first. Let's go ahead and zoom in. And I'm just going to use my bezel shears, and I'm going to cut it as close as possible. Of course you can saw, but I know how most of you are saw adverse. Yeah, I said that. Saw adverse. And so nothing wrong with, for me, I just think this is a really, really quick way of getting there. I'm careful to keep this parallel to the side and not go under. You don't want to cut under it because then it creates it might create a hole and it might create a gap. Okay, so there it is. And let's see, did you actually solder the way I wanted you to solder? I don't know. Let's file this down. I can't tell. Gail, what do I know? Lost you on that comment. So, Deb, since it was your suggestion, what should we be piercing to the back? Are you saying to pierce just an opening or a design? That's a question. But if we pierce a design, because you can see through this stone, it might be sort of funky. But if we pierce an opening, you could do that. Oh, about the sawing. Yeah. Not just you, Gail. Lots of sawing adverse people around here. I don't know why you guys should learn to love sawing. You should just learn. Maybe at Open Studio, at Metal Immersion, maybe, you know, you should bring a piercing project and I help you get over it. It's a thing. So Metal Immersion is in January. We are still planning on doing this. It is January, what did we decide? Is it 13th or 16th, something like that? Martin Luther King weekend, okay? If you guys want to join us, it is in Lansdale, Pennsylvania. By the way, if you haven't gotten your hotel reservations yet, you really need to before the rate goes away, because the rate will go away. And anyway, so that's the story. Okay, so I do have a little tiny little pucker here. Looks like it didn't solder. And I don't know about this area. We're checking. I'm going to do a little bit more sanding and see. Whatever my heart desires. On the sawing, on the piercing. Okay, so no, it did not solder. I can see a big gap there. It did solder around here, and there's a little bit of a gap right there. So I'm gonna deal with that. I know. I'm gonna bring that down. Oh, and look at that. Perfect. It came down just so nicely. We're gonna run another bit of solder along there. Let's do this again. So yeah, whenever I can, I use my shears. I really do. It's just why, you know, why create that much work for yourself when you have, especially when you have shears or tools. If you don't have the tools, it becomes a little bit different. But when you have them, why not use them? Okay, I've lost my solder pick. There it is. And again with the medium solder. And I'm just going to put a bit of solder around the edge just to get it to run right in there and close it up. I should probably pick solder this, huh? You know what? I take it back. I think I'm going to pick solder this. I'm taking the solder off. We're going to pick it. And I'll show you what I mean here in a second. So we're just going to put this, and we're going to do each side one at a time. I need a solder block. And I need some solder sheet. Okay. So pick soldering is a little bit more direct. It's a little bit cleaner. It's a little bit harder to do than just to put down some paste. This here is a piece of medium solder. I'm going to go ahead and hammer it on the side here. Oops, that's my bench block. I'm going to hammer it on the side because it's going to roll away from me because it's round, because it's solder wire. So hammering it, that's another tip, is to keep it from rolling away. Okay, and we're going to cut a couple pieces and put it on our block here. We'll put some flux on there. Okay, we'll put some flux on here, and we'll put some flux on each one of those, on each one of the chips that I just made. We'll heat that first and get it to granulate. As soon as it's granular, put your pick to it and pick it up. Thus, pick solder. So you see, I have a little bit of solder on there. We'll go ahead and heat this. Make sure you get that back plate hot. Everything's got to get happy hot. I'm bringing the pick in, but I'm not touching anything, and I do not have flux where I need it to be. So we're going to put a little bit more on. There we go. So Linda commented that if we, so by the way, when the flux turns to crystal, that's when you know that you can put your solder down. There it is, see? So I placed the solder and hopefully it'll go where I want it to go. So Linda says that if we leave the back plate intact, then we have no possibility of like a dark sweater obscuring the rutilisation and the design in the stone because of that dark color. So I'm just going to drag the solder where I want it. Get it to go. Grab one more piece. Looks like it needs a little bit more. Just put some there. Just like that. Good. Looks like it wants more. What is up? Ah, shoot. I missed. Did you see that? I totally missed. Alright. So I'm not going to quench it. I want it to stay hot. And I'm going to flip it over. Put some flux on there too. There we go. And grab some more solder. And cut a little bit. I don't have any solder wire in there, I just have solder sheet, so we're just going to cut up a little piece of sheet here. I know, I'll say that again. I know you heard it. And again, we're going to pick this. Get that nice and hot again. And put it right down. Just like so. Andy's supposed to be watching this, but he's playing with the puppy. I can hear him. I said, I hear you playing with the puppy. You're supposed to be watching this. Doing the what? Ah. So you like the fiddly things because it shows that I'm human and it doesn't always work. Okay, so we're going to throw this back in the pickle. All right, throw it in the pickle. Move this out. And then we'll go ahead and resand that. So, you know, I'm feeling like I'm not going to pierce that backside. But in the meantime, there was a bail. Let's go ahead and trim that bail a little bit. And let's make a bail. Pull that together. Fiddly stuff. I know. Just like so. Okay. So just following that down. So this will be the bail for it. It was a pre-made bail, but there was wires on the inside. It was a pinch bail, but we're going to use it using what we have here. Bring that together a little bit. Yeah, big enough. Okay. This is solder, so we're going to put that away. Oops. And still pickling. Okay, let's see. Wow. There it is. Interesting. Okay. We're going to run the sanding disc. Clean up any solder. that happened. And I like always doing this at a slight angle to create a bevel. There we go. Nice finish. Going all the way around. Make sure that there's no scratch marks. I don't know why, but there's a gouge here. I don't remember gouging that earlier. So we'll take that out too. Be careful not to take off too much material because you want to keep this nice and even. Nice. There you go. It's coming together really nicely. A little bit more. Okay. Have you guys figured out my game face yet? When I'm focusing, I get really quiet. My favorite sanding tool is sandpaper wrapped around a tongue depressor. So I've been de-stashing. I don't know if you guys saw on my Facebook, but I have been de-stashing sterling silver Pandora beads. So happy. Somebody called and asked for 10 today. I'm so happy. Out the door. So if anybody needs Pandora charms, check out my Facebook. I have them up for $6, and it's so funny because we used to sell them at the store. It's old inventory from the bead store. We used to sell them at the store for $12, and I looked online just for yucks and giggles this morning because this person tried to get me to negotiate down. I said, no, the price is firm. I looked on online and found the same charms for $30. Like, oh, geez, I need to raise my prices because, you know, the price of silver is up a lot higher and whatnot. So there it is. That's my story. So there's my shameless plug to try to get rid of some more Pandora charms. I have another 20 left, I think it was, of these charms. So I'm just sanding the back. Should probably use something a little heavier than this if we're ever going to get through this today. Let's see. How about some 400? Wow, time flew by, huh? That went fast. And here I am going, oh, this is such a simple project. We can just finish this up. How did that go? 50 minutes to do this? Jeez. Yeah. Okay, so in all that sanding, it looks like my joint here has reared its ugly head. You can see that. Let's do a little bit more sanding and get that down. Okay. There it is. I take it pretty slow when I'm using a flex shaft because you don't want to create more problems than you started with, right? You don't want to gouge anything, so just do it slowly. Okay, so I feel like we're running out of time, so here's how we're going to finish up today's live. I'm going to put the bail on, and then we'll do the setting next week. So between now and next week, I'm going to debate a little bit on this piercing, whether or not I want to pierce it, or whether or not I want to add even more embellishment on it. But I actually really just like this design without the embellishments. And then, so I'm just sitting here refining my wire, my frame, just to make sure it's really nice. And I continue to stroke my metal like I always do, just to make sure it is really, really nice and refined. Just like so. Okay. So where's that bail? So here's what I'm thinking for the bail, right? And then it'll be done, just like so. How are we going to put this bail on is the question. You can't exactly just put it flat like so. Sort of amateur. You want it to be in the middle of your wire. That way it is nice and centered. So there's the question. How do I want to do that? I could put it in the pumice and hold it over the top like this, or I could hold it from the side like so. I'm thinking from the side. Okay, so how am I going to do that? Where is it? I'm going to use my honeycomb block, except I don't want this on the spinny thing. I'm going to change out to there. Actually, nope, that's not going to work for me either, because I want to be able to put my hand on the table. On the tripod was too high, so I want it on the table. Let's show you guys what I'm looking at here, so that I can stabilize my hands. That's important. And notice how I'm holding my bail. You see that? I'm not going to hold it this way, okay, on the side, because my experience has been by holding on the side, because this piece is so thin, it's going to collapse once you put heat on it, and therein lies the problem. Okay, so let's see if this will work this way. Again, you got to keep trying it and seeing what is going to work for you, because here I don't even know if this is a good option. I just know it's an option, and you know, if this doesn't set up properly, then I would have to change out to, there it is. And I want to make sure it's stable. That's what I'm looking for, is some stability. So if it's not a good option, then it's just not a good option, right? You gotta sort of feel it out and change accordingly. Don't mind my head. Okay, there. So you can see this is what it looks like from the side. I have pins. I have a pin here holding this up so that I can see what's going on. Do I want, and then the next question is, how do I want to hold this? That makes sense. That's the conundrum. Okay. None of it's making me very happy. And it's about how I keep my hands stable, right? Because it's not on the ground, because this is about, or it's not on the table. It's about 3 inches off the table. And if I put my hand down, it's too far away, or maybe not. Oh, actually, ooh, see? So you want your hand on something for leverage, right? You don't want to just have it dangling up in the air, because most people would not be able to hold it steady. So actually, see here, my fingers are up against the board for stability. Okay, so now I'm going to grab some solder. We'll go with easy solder. And we're going to put it right there. Okay. Always, if you're doing a balancing thing like this, always use your dominant hand, because really, do you have that much control when you're using your less dominant hand? Probably not. Okay, we're going to put it right here. So I'm heating everything first. The bail is so thin and so small, I didn't want to get that hot that quickly. So I wanted to make sure, see, it's already too hot. I'm pulling it out so I can get my piece hotter, and then I'm going to put it back down and hope that I don't melt it. Just very Gently. There it goes. You see how gently I'm doing that? Okay, I'm going to the back side because I do not believe that the solder flowed on this back side. So that's why I'm turning it around, just to make sure that the solder flowed on the back and the front, because the bail wasn't pinched together nicely, because I didn't care to pinch it together, because I was like, oh, it's okay, it's gonna be on top, we solder both sides, it works. Perhaps that was my doom. Okay, so it did not solder. I can feel it. It looks like it's soldered, but it's not. So we're gonna throw some pickle back, or throw it back in the pickle, and we're gonna resolder that here in a second. And then we're gonna just end there. We'll do finishing and setting next week on this piece. I think deserves a little bit of time. I'm detecting a problem already. Now I got to figure out how I'm gonna fix that, and I'll show you what the problem is here in a second. Okay, how's my pickle? You're okay. My pickle's really hot today, but for some reason it doesn't seem to want to work as fast as I want it to work. Okay. There it is. So let me show you what the problem is before I do the bail. So if you look at this closely, right, you'll see I have very little bezel on this end to push over. And I already knew that the stone, see the stone is much thinner. You can see that. The stone is much thinner on this side than on this side. So how am I going to create enough bezel to push over that stone? That's going to be the conundrum. We'll figure that out next week. So let me see. I'm checking this. Yeah, that's not soldered down. I can feel it, but it's nice because it's in the middle, right? So we'll put it right back in here, like so. Actually, no, I'm not going to put it back in there. We'll bury it in our pumice, like so. Put a little bit more solder on there, easy solder. We'll put it on the inside. It'll be cleaner. See that? On the inside. And we're going to draw it back out. Okay? We're going to keep our fire tweezers in hand, just in case. I'm just going to hold it right on top. I'm heating the bottom piece first, not even bothering to heat the bail. Gently. Now I'm heating right at the joint. There it is. No panicking when you do this kind of thing. Panic will only create problems. Okay. Yep, it's on there. And there's there's step 1. I don't know, step 10. Back in the pickle, and I will see you guys next week. So in the meantime, nothing happening on Friday because it's Christmas Eve. We're gonna roast a chicken around here for Christmas Eve. Hope you guys all have something great planned for the weekend. Whether or not you're celebrating the weekend, we all have it off, so enjoy it with your family, and I will be back on Monday. Thank you everyone for joining me today and liking and sharing the posts. It's important for us to be able to keep this going. So until Monday, I think it's going to be the last make it from scrap. Start from scrap. I think it's going to be the last one. And then we'll finish up this UFO next Wednesday, and we'll go over some polishing, some finishing would be a good thing. And then we're into the new year. Oh, I know. I haven't posted January yet. I'm working on it. Actually, I haven't started working on it. I'm going to work on it while we have the 4 days off. All right? Until Monday, have